A Bank Negara Malaysia analyst told the High Court in Najib Razak's 1MDB trial today that two firms controlled by an aide to Low Take Joe, or Joe Low, had remitted £9.45 million to the former Prime Minister in 2014. Adam Arif Roslan said the remitted funds had originated from two loans amounting to $1.225 billion taken out by 1MDB Energy Holdings Ltd, a 1MDB subsidiary, with Deutsche Bank in the same year. Adams said the first loan, amounting to $250 million, was received by 1MDB Energy on May 26, 2014. A second loan of $975 million was made available on September 1 that year, he said. He said that on May 26, 2014, a sum of $175 million, part of the $250 million loan, was transferred to Auber Investments PJS Ltd's bank account in the British Virgin Islands. On June 17, 2014, Auber Investments PJS moved a sum of $19 million to a foreign firm known as Affinity Equity International Partners Ltd. Adams said that 2 days later, a sum of $1.89 million out of the $19 million was transferred to BlackRock Commodities Global Limited based on bank statements, he said. Part of BlackRock Commodities' $1.89 million, or £750,000, was moved to Najib's bank account on the same day. He also said that on September 3 and September 30, 2014, 1MDB Energy transferred $681 million of the $975 million received under a second loan to Auber Investments PJS, a Seychelles entity. Less than 1 month later, on October 16 that year, Auber Investments PJS, Seychelles, moved $226 million from the $681 million to the account of Auber International, a Barbados company. He said, Auber International immediately transferred an almost identical amount of funds, $225 million, to Vista Equity International Partners account. Vista Equity's account was similar to a pass-through account, where funds credited are often utilized in whole or partially for transfers to third parties within a short period of time. Adams said that between October 17 and December 17, 2014, Vista Equity deposited a total of £8.7 million to Najib's account. The prosecution said in its opening statement that BlackRock Commodities and Vista Equity were controlled by Low's aide, Tan Kim Long. Najib is standing trial on 25 charges of abuse of power and money laundering over alleged 1MDB funds amounting to $2.28 billion, deposited into his bank accounts between February 2011 and December 2014. The hearing before Justice Colin Lawrence Sequeira continues. Former Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad briefed the Kedah government yesterday on his economic development plan under the State Government 4, SG4, coalition. Malay Proclamation Secretariat Chairman Dato Seri Khairuddin Abu Hassan said Dr. Mahathir is committed to continue guiding the state of Kedah as well as 3 other states, Terengganu, Kelantan and Perlis, to develop them further with his experience. He said, Dr. Mahathir is determined to see the states of Kedah, Terengganu, Kelantan and Perlis develop on par with other developed states on the west coast of peninsular Malaysia. This is to prove that the SG4 coalition states managed by the Malay leadership can also progress brilliantly, Khairuddin said in the meeting which lasted more than 2 hours. Dr. Mahathir reminded the leadership of SG4 coalition states to implement leadership transformation, especially fighting corruption, to empower the economy more steadily. He said, various investment plans were also discussed at this early stage to develop the economy of the state of Kedah, including the industrial sector, tourism, agriculture, infrastructure, education, and other fields. In fact, the state of Kedah and the SG4 combined states have very high potential because they are rich in the products of the earth. They just need dynamic governance to achieve these goals. On September 15, the federal opposition coalition Perikatan Nasional chose Mahathir to be the unofficial advisor to the 4 states under its control. Terengganu Menteri Besar Dato Seri Ahmad Samsuri Mokhtar said his counterparts in Kedah, Kelantan, and Perlis were in agreement and would be discussing an action plan for the group. Ahmad Samsuri, who is also PA Vice President, said in a statement on September 11 that all 4 PN state MBs have agreed in principle to form a group for strategic cooperation to focus on economic development and improving public welfare.
Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim is expected to answer all queries over the discharge not amounting to an acquittal given to Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi in the Dewan Rakyat tomorrow. Minister in Prime Minister's Department Law and Institutional Reform Datuk Seri Azalina Othman said the Prime Minister would do so during his winding-up session for the 12th Malaysian Plan midterm review. She said, "Will the Prime Minister answer? He is here and he gave the nod, which means he will answer. God willing, the session will be between 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. tomorrow." Azalina said this in response to a question from Datuk Seri Taqiyuddin Hassan Parakatan Nasional Kota Baru on whether Anwar would answer questions from members of parliament regarding the Zahid's DNA in court. On Friday, Anwar had said that he might answer questions with regards to Zahid's discharge in parliament. When speaking to reporters, the Prime Minister briefly said, "Maybe, if God wills it." This comes after a government backbencher, Hassan Abdul Karim Pakatan Harapampazar Gudong, told the Dewan Rakyat last week that MPs should be allowed to ask questions about Zahid's DNA during the Prime Minister's question time. Parakatan Nasional's Dr. Afif Bahardin said Deputy Inspector General of Police Ayub Khan Maidan Piche should not prevent politicians from speaking about people's concerns. Afif said, "Don't stop the politicians from speaking up. He is now the Deputy IGP, not the Chief of the Counterterrorism Division anymore. He should see us as part of Malaysian society. We love our country and want reforms and people's rights to be defended. We are speaking up for the people." Afif, who is also the Taman Medan assemblyman, added that Ayub should also understand PN's Selamatkan Malaysia rally on Saturday was about the people's concerns. Earlier today, police recorded statements from 10 people involved in the September 16 rally. PN politicians and NGOs had marched from Masjid Jamek, Kampung Baru to the Dang Wangi Police Headquarters to lodge a report against Deputy Prime Minister Ahmad Zahid Hamidi's conditional discharge on corruption charges. Police had said the rally was illegal, having previously rejected PN's application to stage the march, claiming the information provided was incomplete and did not meet the requirements under the Peaceful Assembly Act. Meanwhile, Tun Faisal Ismail Aziz, co-organizer of the rally, told reporters the process of taking his statement was smooth. He said he was one of 10 people called today to assist the police in their investigation, adding that no one had been charged up till that point. Bersatu leader said, "Right now, they are only taking statements." Tun Faisal said he was questioned about the rally and the police report he made about Zahid. He added that the rally had proceeded peacefully. He said, "To the best of my knowledge, there was no clash between us and the police, or damage to any property. I think this means that everything went peacefully without provocation or conflict." Malaysian Prime Minister Dato Seri Anwar Ibrahim will lead Malaysia's delegation to the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly here. In his first appearance at the annual gathering of world leaders, Anwar will share Malaysia's efforts in addressing the climate crisis and action taken towards achieving the 2030 Agenda. Foreign Minister Dato Seri Dr. Zambri Abdul Qadir said, Prime Minister will also share Malaysia Madani framework. "It's very important for us to let the world know what it's all about." Also present were the Malaysian ambassador to the United States Dato Seri Nazri Aziz, Foreign Ministry Secretary General Dato Seri Amran Mohammed Zin and Permanent Representative to the United Nations Dato Dr. Ahmad Faisal Muhammad. According to Zambri, the Prime Minister, who is scheduled to arrive here on Wednesday, September 20th, will deliver Malaysia's national statement at the general debate on Friday, September 22nd. During the visit, Anwar will be accompanied by his wife Dato Seri Dr. Wan Aziza Wan Ismail, Home Minister Dato Seri Safuddin Nazushan Ismail, Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Dato Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz, Health Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa, and several members of parliament and government officials. The general debate, which starts today until September 26, will see state and government leaders from 157 countries, as well as 35 ministers delivering their national statement at the United Nations headquarters. This year's theme for the general debate is Rebuilding Trust and Reigniting Global Solidarity, Accelerating Action on the 2030 Agenda and its Sustainable Development Goals towards peace, prosperity, progress, and sustainability for all. Zambri said the Premier's presence at the UNGA was expected to receive prominent coverage, as many other national leaders who were met earlier stated that they were looking forward to Anwar's speech because of his experience and leadership. He said, Prime Minister will also speak about global conflict, including the Ukraine crisis, as well as the long-standing Palestine and Myanmar issues. The Prime Minister also has been invited to deliver a Friday sermon at the Islamic Cultural Center of New York on September 22, the first foreign leader to be given such honor by the city's first mosque. Anwar will also host a dinner for 1,000 Malaysian diaspora on Friday, said Zambri, adding that about 25,000 Malaysians residing in that country. Former Prime Minister Dato Seri Najib Razak had in 2012 ultimately received a total of $30 million (Rm140.8 million) in funds, which had originated from $1.64 billion belonging to a One Malaysia Development Berhad subsidiary, the High Court heard. Bank Negara Malaysia analyst Adam Arif Mohammed Roslan laid out the money trail for how money had trickled down from 1MDB Energy Limited's $1.64 billion to several entities, including a company belonging to Malaysian fugitive low-take Joe's Malaysian associate Eric Tan Kim Long, before the $20 million reached Najib's private Islamic bank account. These multi-layered transactions all took place within just 1 month. Adam Arif referred to multiple banking documents for the entire money trail, showing that the funds that entered Najib's Islamic account traveled through the accounts could all be traced back to the 1MDB subsidiary's $1.64 billion. Based on Adam Arif's testimony, 1ML had issued a bond or took on debt to raise funds to buy energy assets, and 1ML had on October 19, 2012 received $1.64 billion in its Falcon bank account after issuing the bond. He said 1ML had zero funds in its bank account before receiving the $1.64 billion on October 19, 2012, and that 1ML had on the same day transferred $790 million to the British Virgin Islands Incorporated Company Auber Investments PJS Limited's BSI bank account. This Auber is now known to be a fake Auber. In confirming that the $790 million in Auber BVI could be fully traced back to the $1.64 billion from 1ML, Adam Arif said the bank statements show that 1ML had zero funds before it received the $1.64 billion from the bond, and that 1ML did not receive money from any other sources before it sent out the $790 million to Auber BVI. Before Auber BVI received the $790 million in its account, its last balance was over $15 million. He then went on to show how the chain of transactions continued uninterrupted, with Auber BVI then purportedly investing $291,243,827 or over $291 million into the Systemic Investment Fund on October 23, 2012. Yesterday, Adam Arif showed how $20 million had in 2011 flowed in from funds originating from 1MDB to the same private banking MR bank account owned by Najib, with Najib's account having only RM484 before those funds started coming in. This was the first phase, with funds having also traveled through Lowe's Goodstar Limited's bank account before reaching Najib. Lowe is better known as Joe Lowe. Asked by Deputy Public Prosecutor Kamal Baharan Omar this morning for his full analysis of where the RM60 million had originated from, Adam Arif said this RM60 million sum received in Najib's account from a Riyadh bank account belonging to a Prince Faisal had originated from an Islamic bond or Islamic medium-term note issued by 1MDB's predecessor 1MDB in 2009, as well as a RM2.5 billion syndicated term loan borrowed by 1MDB. Najib was seen in a light gray suit with a red tie, while his wife Dateline Rosma Mansur was not seen inside the courtroom this morning. Najib's 1MDB trial, before Judge Dato Colin Lawrence Sequeira resumes this afternoon.
PKR Deputy President Rafizi Ramli's claim that Pakistan Harapam would not agree to a pardon for incarcerated former Prime Minister Najib Razak will hardly ruffle feathers in UMNO, analysts said. Azmi Hassan of Akademi Nusantara said Rafizi's stance was neither PH's nor Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's official standpoint on the matter. Azmi said, it would not trigger Barisan Nasional to leave the government. However, he said there is a possibility that it could see some protest votes in the Pelangai by-election next month, although he does not expect it to result in any significant change to the outcome of the polls. He said, it will have little impact because Najib is from Pahang. Najib was the Pekin Member of Parliament. Sajah Shukri of the International Islamic University Malaysia said while Najib remains a popular figure, a large portion of UMNO supporters were yearning for reform. These supporters want to distance themselves from those accused of corruption. Sajah said. So this, Rafizi's comment, is a minor issue in terms of UMNO's support for the unity government. She said BN has bigger issues to deal with, including improving its electoral performance. As a result, Rafizi's remarks would likely be disregarded. Unless more changes are made, UMNO supporters are more likely to turn to Perikatan Nasional regardless. Asmil Taib of University Sains Malaysia, USM, however, feels the possibility of a boycott by UMNO members or defection to PN has always been there, regardless of whether PH supports Najib's pardon. Like Azmi, he believes Rafizi's remark would not see BN quit the unity government. The alternative is more unpalatable. Also, the rot within UMNO goes beyond Najib's pardon. PH has to make clear to UMNO that Najib's pardon is the red line it is not willing to cross. Najib is serving a 12-year jail sentence after being convicted on charges of abuse of power, money laundering and criminal breach of trust over SRC international funds amounting to Rm 42 million. Committee should be set up to approve future legal experts believe a committee should be set up in the future to review decisions to discharge those accused of serious offenses instead of putting the power solely with the Attorney General. Senior lawyer Dato Joy Wilson Apakuttan said the committee, which could be chaired by around 3 to 5 people, must be made up of independent persons who can review the process and provide their views before any action is to be taken to discharge the accused. He said this following Prime Minister Dato Seri Anwar Ibrahim's explanation in Parliament that he did not interfere with the AG's decision to grant Deputy Prime Minister Dato Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi a discharge not amounting to an acquittal over his 47 Yayasan Akal Budi, YAB, corruption case. He said former AG Tan Sri Idris Harun had full authority in line with Article 145(3) of the Federal Constitution. Several parties have voiced their dissatisfaction and protests as the prosecution had already established a prima facie case. Joy said this is absolutely true from a constitutional point of view. The discretion lies with the AG as set out in Article 145(3) FC. The way forward is to amend this article, which will require a 2/3 majority in Parliament. So if all MPs, from both sides of the divide, are in agreement to amend the article, then the government should work on the amendments. We can see the dangers of vesting power in one person. Meanwhile, senior lawyer Dato Jithan Ram Vincent, commenting on the matter, said Anwar's answer was sufficient and that there was nothing unusual in granting DNAA. He said the AG was acting well within his powers, and there was no interference from Anwar or anyone else. He said, "The power is vested with the AG and only the AG. The AG acts independently, and this has been confirmed by the Prime Minister himself. The DNAA order was by the judge. Prosecution requested for DNAA and defense asked for DAA, but the court decided to order DNAA. Is it uncommon for the prosecution to apply for DNAA? No, it's not. Has it been done before? Yes, in various circumstances, depending on the circumstances. Earlier this month, Zahid was freed from 12 criminal breach of trust (CBT) charges, 8 counts of bribery and 27 for money laundering, involving scores of millions of ringgit belonging to YAB. He was accused of committing the offences between March 28, 2016 and April 11, 2018. He was charged on October 19, 2018 and was later ordered to enter his defence. Zahid's lawyers have appealed for a total acquittal to the Court of Appeal.